Hey, what's going on, guys? And today I wanted to talk about the San Antonio Spurs, kind of my season predictions. And if there is one team that I do expect to exceed expectations this season, it's the San Antonio Spurs. Again, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, they're championship contenders, because I think they have a plan. Like, it was recently a report came out that they're not going to be tolerating mistakes this season. Like, the goal, this is the jump year. And what do I mean by that is I think the ideal situation for them is to figure out who are their core guys. Like, I personally think they love Keldon Johnson, but is Keldon Johnson going to be a long-term guy that they want as a leader and as the culture setter, the guy who was here from the previous regime, or is he going to be used as a salary filler? And I think the same thing goes is, Jeremy Sohan, is he going to be here long term? Trey Jones, because we know Devin Vassell and Victor Wembanyama are the cornerstones. So for me, I look at this and I think, because I am a firm believer that with the current salary construction, or what I mean is the current aprons, that the Spurs want to be strategic, because the ideal way to build a team right now is through the draft and then extending guys who are going to be key role players before their value goes up, so you can have them on a bargain contract and then continuously drafting well. And the Spurs, that's the Spurs way. And if anything, that's the Spurs excel at that type of roster construction. Look at how the Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Ginobili teams were constructed. So currently we assume starting lineup: Victor Wembanyama, Jeremy Sohan, Chris Paul, Keldon Johnson, and then when healthy, Devin Vassell. Now, I do like them having Harrison Barnes. I expect he's either going to be somebody that they use at the trade deadline, and that's what I mean. Like, the Spurs could be the team. And the thing is I think there's the next year's draft class looks like it's going to be loaded. And then you also have yourself the fact that the Spurs this year, you look at the rest of the roster outside of that, is Malachi Branham, Blake Wesley going to be legit? I think Stephen Castle is going to be good regardless if he's the point guard of the future or not. Because I think if he's not the point guard of the future, he's Marcus Smart 2.0, which I can get behind personally. So those are the things that I think they're trying to figure out is, okay, who's here long term? Like, obviously, Zach Collins is not worth $16.7 million a season, but would they like to keep him, and can they keep him cheaper? Or would they want to package Zach Collins and Harrison Barnes to see if they can start bringing in maybe midway through the season, if they're playing better than expected, to just get the roster ready? And if they want to draft somebody, then next in this upcoming season, they can go ahead and, lose the last couple games to get a better draft positioning. But what I really think here is they are trying to figure, this is my season prediction right here, is that they're trying to figure out who's going to be part of the Victor Wembanyama core. We know Chris Paul is going to be the bridge guy. I personally think they have three guys. They have a guard in Stephen Castle. They have a wing in Devin Vassell, and they have a front court player in Victor Wembanyama. I think Jeremy Sohan has flashed being a lockdown defender, and I think the biggest thing right there now is can he be good enough offensively where he isn't a black hole and is somebody that is left open and that is constantly going to be forced to shoot, is the biggest thing. I think they're trying to see if Blake Wesley, Branham, Champagnie, Blake Wesley, and I think maybe the bench guys, if you guys, I don't really think CD Sissoko or Sandro are really going to be guys who long-term, or Charles Bassey, are going to be game changers. Same thing with Malachi Flynn, BJ Boston, if they make the roster. So the whole thing I think they are doing this season is they're figuring out who's legit. They're extending contracts for guys who are willing to take cheap deals and be part of the core and be bench guys long term. And then I think they're looking at a combination of free agency as well as trades. I think they're the team. I think they'll be the dark horse team for a team. Let's say, again, I don't know what player, because I don't think Zach LaVine is the guy they want. I think the guy that they want is obviously, now for me, I think you're positioning yourself again, not for a Zach LaVine, not for anybody that's going to pop out distinctively in your mind. I think the biggest thing you're going to have to figure out is, all right, do we have the players to provide us with the style of play that will maximize this team while Victor Wembanyama is on a cheap deal? Because I've always said this. I think the Spurs realize, look, we got to build like an NFL team. Look, everybody talks about the Seattle Seahawks were able to capitalize while Russell Wilson was on a rookie deal before they had to pay him, and then the whole thing went to crap when they had to pay Russell Wilson. I think that the thought process here is, look, we need to figure out the legit players this second season of Victor Wembanyama, so then we can actually be a playoff team his third and fourth season before year 5 when the max deal kicks in. And when the max deal kicks in, it's Victor Wembanyama. They'll be able to get players to come there, but it's not going to be as easy as it would be right now to construct said roster. Now, for me, I think looking ahead into free agency next year, we've said it before, it's not really the most enticing free agent class, depending on if you're a fan of, like, I don't think Kyrie Irving's making it to free agency this offseason. I don't think Mr. Alperen Şengün's going to be a free agent. So it really does look like if there is going to be free agents available, it might be Brandon Ingram, like the best guy available. But even then, I think the Pelicans would be foolish to just let Brandon Ingram walk. So if they were to go out and get Brandon Ingram, it'd be a sign and trade. And is Brandon Ingram really going to be a guy that you want to waste a certain portion of your cap space on? So that's the whole thing is, I think that they want to position themselves this season, with the cap flexibility to make moves in the offseason, whether it be in free agency or trade. And then I really do think that the ideal situation, guys, for them is to be a play-in team that loses and is still a lottery team, similar to how the Atlanta Hawks were. So if they can go this season, maybe start hot out the gate, then maybe middle of the year they struggle, and then they maybe make some trades that create cap flexibility or bring somebody in, and they make a play-in push. They make the play-in. They lose in the play-in. They gain the experience in playing in games that matter, or they even do well in the in-season tournament cup. And then they go into next year either with, not only a lottery pick, but several other picks to use in a potential blockbuster trade, or they can go out and lure somebody in free agency. Again, if they were to go out and get somebody in free agency, I'd have to think that, I think the Spurs I really do believe it's a season of posturing. So I want to hear you guys' thoughts if you guys agree with me. So let me know. Bye-bye. If you made it to the end, hit that like and subscribe button.